Sometimes you make a bad decision and you get away with it. You know what you very rarely get away with? Making like 25 bad decisions out of 29 over the course of a couple of years. Leeds United have been relegated to the Championship, and completely deservedly so. We knew going in, which I think did help marginally, but only by like 5%. I was still absolutely furious. KC was so wound up about it that it made him sick. So yeah, I'm Jack, joined by KC. How you doing, mate?
Better than I was yesterday. Yeah, on the way to the game, I admittedly for about half an hour before that, I started to feel terrible, and as I got to Rothwell, I could go no further. It turned out. So
Just suddenly sick as a dog in the car.
Yeah, fortunately, I got out of the car
just in time.
Yeah, I'm sure if you drove past, you'd have been tutting and wondering if I was in any fit state to drive. But yeah, I don't know what brought it on, but
I do. You knew what was fucking coming, because I'll tell you what, throwing your guts up will have been more enjoyable than watching that. And I don't mean feeling sick. I mean the actual bit where you were throwing your guts up will have been more fun than being at that game.
The worst part is, like, I was driving home just going like, honest to God, because of this, Leeds are going to stay up. There's that daft bit of your mind going, because of this, I'm going to miss this miracle happen. And it was nice that within 90 seconds of the game, that was very quickly stripped away from me. Like, oh, no, that's not the case at all.
Yeah. I have no idea how this podcast is going to go, because I have no plan for it. It'll probably just be us venting. But I want to start with someone who isn't completely blame for this, because he's only here at the end, but I'm still fucking annoyed at him, so I'm going to go on about it. Sam Allardyce, you have a must-win game. No matter what, forget that the other results went the other way and stuff. You had to win that game, 100%. So you pick 6 fucking defenders. Okay, I disagree, but I suppose your plan is we are gonna keep it tight and stay in the game and try and win it late. 90 seconds, 1-0, Harry Kane. Doesn't change anything. Makes no subs. Does not make more attacking subs. Doesn't bring anyone on. Everyone in the ground is going, we have to go for this here. Everyone's saying, make a sub after 20 minutes. It's fine. You've got 5 now. We're not going to change up. We're not going to change up. Gets to half time. I believe at which point you messaged me something along the lines of, if he doesn't make 2 changes here, they should sack him and replace him with Stuart Dallas at half time.
Yeah, like you have Nonto and Somerville on the bench. Allegedly, we didn't have a striker, but apparently one magicked himself out of thin air to make an appearance with half an hour left. But yeah, 1-0 down, and we had we hit the target? There was Adam Forshaw's blocked volley.
Yeah, I mean, Koch had 2 chances, but Koch had a big chance, but he headed it wide, didn't he? Yeah. So, yeah, we didn't have many. But anyway, he doesn't make the subs that everyone knows he's going to do. And from talking to everyone around me, the one sub everyone was saying was, well, you need to take Strauch off. Obviously, he made the mistake on the first goal. But more than that, he's just not looking great defensively, and he's been booked. Don't make the changes. 90 seconds, again. Fuck up by Strauch, 2-0. Now he makes the changes. Leeds get a goal back. Oh, well, we've got a goal back. Maybe there's a miracle. 90 fucking seconds. 3-1. All of this fucking shower of shite.
I want to say that I think you've given too much credit for how quickly the substitutions came after that goal. Because
no, I just think that we scored after them.
No, in terms of obviously they scored 90 seconds into the second half. And it took him another 10 minutes, 12 minutes to think, all right, I'm going to make a sub now.
You'll have seen this on telly, but rough idea in my head. They seemed to be stood on the touchline being talked to for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then eventually someone told Willie Nonto to sit down.
Yeah.
I
But
mean, we all knew it was over. We all knew it was over 90 seconds into the game. But I just looked and just thought, how have you evaluated this situation? And you've thought, Brendan Aronson. I know. Obviously, he sees them in training every day. But Willie Gnonto is an Italian international who is a lot stronger than Brendan Aronson.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't justify that one in my head. It was... I mean, one thing I did quite enjoy about the game, and the big thing I wish I'd been there for, is the Leeds United greatest hits collection that we seem to be going through the first half.
Yeah, the only interesting bit was the pitch invader and the South Stand. Now, a couple of the things for South Stand sung were things that, in principle, I would say you probably shouldn't. But given the situation, I just thought it was funny, and they were making their own fun. And sometimes, in a situation like this, you have to, because you could see the Spurs fans didn't know how to react every time they tried to take the piss. Every time they tried to take the piss out of Leeds, they couldn't, because Leeds were too busy taking the piss out of Leeds.
So obviously, I only heard this through the TV. Once they caught the pitch invader, who, by the sounds of things, made a fairly good showing of himself.
He beat 3 or 4. He beat 3 or 4 before they took him down, and then for some reason they sent out like 25 people to get him, which seemed like overkill.
Did they start singing "He Showed More Fight Than You"?
Yes, they did.
Oh, I heard.
Which, I'll tell you what,
wasn't
wrong.
No,
and that wasn't just for South Stand either. That was the whole fucking stadium, and that really must have hurt them as players, and I hope it did, because it deserves to. Just because a lot of them have credit in the bank, and some of them are still players that I will always look back at fondly. The lack of fight we have seen in the last 8-9 games. As much as the coaching's been bad, as much as everything's been bad above them, just the way that they fucking give up. It is shameful. Like, it really is. I'm not saying that they weren't trying, because I'm sure they were. But they did a good impression of players who weren't a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think ultimately I came away from the game looking at... I thought Jack Harrison tried to make as much happen as he could. But we also had no one up front. It's also worth saying that our team, our starting lineup, 5 of our 10 outfield players were playing out of position.
Yeah, I mean,
like madness.
You're looking at that. Ayling's playing wing back in a 5, which is fine, but he's better than a 4. Christensen's playing centre back. Stroud's playing left wing back. He's not really a left back. He really isn't a left wing back. And for long periods of the first half, because the ridiculous thing is, we were probably the better side in the first half. It's just that it didn't matter, because we'd gifted him a goal after 90 seconds.
Yeah, we had 19 shots all game.
Yeah,
and I barely remember any in the second half.
Yeah, but Stroud was basically playing left wing for long periods. I mean, how really was the midfield set? It looked like it was really Cock, Forshaw, and Harrison as a 3, and then McKennie off Rodrigo.
Yeah, it was like a 5-3-1-1 type deal. And honestly, the only reason I can think of Weston McKennie being in that team is because of his throwing.
Yeah.
And it was put him up front because he can't defend. Or he won't defend.
McKennie has become a lightning rod. So it has become a situation where if he plays a 5 out of 10, everyone acts like he played a 2. But I would argue that he hasn't had many that were above 5. He's had like 2 games.
Yeah.
He has. I mean, like, the first thing he did in this game was Leeds played a nice little bit of football, played it into him. He had loads of time and space, and he left a 20-yard pass 10 yards short, and they broke. Like, it's just...
And they scored.
Yeah. I mean, it just... I mean, he got booed off the pitch when he got subbed, and there were some chants that I will go as far as saying that are unfair, chanting "you fat bastard" at him. I'm not saying it's so unfair that I'm mad about it, but that probably is unfair. But he has been shit, as of a lot of them. But we should probably actually talk about the goals properly. So the first one, I think it's Emerson Royale clips the ball down the right. Pascal Struijk is 90-10 favourite to get to the ball and runs the wrong way.
No, I think that's harsh on him. I think he curves his run to stay onside. I mean, I look at it and I just go, if you run in a straight line, you've got to that.
You've got to that ball easy.
He sort of makes an overlapping run around. Is it Porro?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Porro square to Son square to Kane. Leeds have got 3 centre backs, and yet somehow, that if Porro's making that run and he's against Struijk, we should still have 3v2 in the middle in that situation. But we have 3 against Son and none against Kane.
I don't think it was even 3 against Son. I think Struijk becomes one of them. Verber seems to push 10 yards out.
Yeah.
When that ball goes in. And it's just simple layoffs to the side until Harry Kane has absolutely no one around him.
Yeah. You see, in the stand, before when we saw the thing and saw them lining up in a 3, I went, oh, right. They must be going, Kane drops off on the front. One of them's going to do a man marking job on Kane and just going to follow them all around the pitch. Nah. There wasn't any thought to anything like that. It was just, we want men back because defend. That's as far as the tactics went. But yeah, and when you give Harry Kane a chance, he takes it because he is a world-class striker. But yeah, as much as I would love to say, like the goal itself, as much as I hate that he picked 6 defenders and went like that, and I think the way he played it was totally wrong. Like that bit isn't on Allardyce. That's a player fucking up. Struijk fucked up. And that's that. And then for the rest of the half, we probably were marginally the better side because lest we forget, Spurs are shit. They've been bad enough to sack 2 managers this season. That's their first away win since January. That's their first win outside London since October. Like, they're not good. But it's something that gets said after every game. And it's true. Teams must come away from Ellen Road thinking, how was that easy? They don't even have to work through it. We just gift them shit.
Like we seem to be, as the half wore on, we seem to do a good job getting balls into the box, but it was Rodrigo. That was it. That was the target. And half the time,
and when you look at the good crosses, the good crosses were Rodrigo.
Well, yeah, half the time it was him doing the crossing. Yeah, I honestly, I couldn't tell you why 20 minutes into that first half, we just didn't go, right, well, we have to go for this now. We clearly need to get some actual support up there. Let's put Nonto up front, or Somerville, or Ruter, or apparently Robin Koch.
Yeah, I mean, he was our main attacking threat, was Robin Koch, because he appeared to be the only one who knew how to make a run in the box.
And he had that diving header that he absolutely should have hit the target with.
Yeah, that was a brilliant cross from Rodrigo, and he absolutely should have scored. That was a great chance.
It was also much of the first half was spent with Jermaine Jenas talking about the pitch not being watered enough. And that's why
I didn't hear anything about this until after the game, because you in the stand looking down, you couldn't see any difference.
No, and there wasn't. The thing is, I'm going to say that Jermaine Jenas hasn't actually watched us recently, because he was saying, well, when you don't water the grass is thicker, so the ball moves more. And I think that's why Leeds aren't connecting passes. And I imagine every single Leeds fan was shouting, no, we're just shit at passing.
No, it's because we can't pass the fucking ball. I I just look at the way that this has gone this season, and to an extent back end of last season, but this season really. And I've never seen a team be uncoached before. It's like all the things that they did know how to do have gone. Like Pascal Struijk's a great example of it, because Pascal Struijk is a really good young defender with shitloads of potential. And he's just been made worse and worse and worse and I can only put it down to the coaching. Like, I know that Luke Ayling has got older, and that might explain him going down a bit, but he could pass the ball, and now he can't.
Because they spent a whole summer of you having the ball isn't that important.
Yeah. Here's how you press. Here's how you chase. What do we do when we win it back? Fuck it, kick it at the penalty spot, I guess.
Yeah, get it in the mixer. Somewhere. Just forward. No, it's a little bit upsetting to watch some of it at times, that you're just looking at Pascal Struijk, who's just fallen off a cliff these last 2 years into, like, again, another one whose confidence is absolutely gone.
Yeah, if I'm his agent, I am saying, right, you're at a low ebb. See who they bring in as coach. If they bring in a good coach, stay a year in the Championship will probably sort you back out. If they bring in another shit coach, put in a transfer request and leave, and move somewhere with a good coach.
Yeah. But again, like, so someone put on Twitter, like, it's shocking at this point our best central defender is Liam Cooper. And my response to that was, our best, admittedly fit midfielder is Adam Forshaw.
Yeah.
Like, the spine of our best players are the ones that brought us up.
Well, I mean, I don't think you could watch that game yesterday, and I think that I'm looking at it at the minute and thinking, our best defender at the minute probably is Verber, but I'm looking at it and think after yesterday and thinking, is our best defender Jeremiah Mullen? Like, because none of them. I mean, Cooper did actually make some good tackles, but it just the entire team defensively is so poor, and it's like, I can understand people saying, yeah, but if the defenders like Ali has said in the comments, and he isn't wrong. I want to make clear, he isn't wrong. Allardyce's plan could have worked if his defenders could defend and our other players could kick the ball like a professional player should. That's right. However, Allardyce has watched the last few games and he knows they can't defend. So what's the point in setting up to defend?
No, like, even if you just the fact that we have the worst defensive record in the league, tells you that us setting up to defend is a bad idea.
We've just been shit, haven't we? Obviously, the rest of the first half, Leeds actually play okay, but apart from that Robin Koch chance, I don't think we actually create a clear-cut chance, do we? Struijk has one blocked from a set piece. There's some good balls in that we don't quite connect with.
Forshaw has that half volley that is blocked by, because that was the funny thing.
I haven't seen that back. That looked like he hit it really well. Was that on target?
It would have been on target. I think it would have. I think Foster's probably parrying it wide.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's troubling him so much. But no, especially for Adam Forshaw, it was really nicely struck. It's also worth saying that Spurs gave away some totally needless corners, just panicking to get rid of it.
There was one at the end of the first half. I think it was Davinson Sanchez. And he goes to clear the ball from the edge of the box and hooks it back over his own head for a corner under no pressure. It's because, again, they're not very good. And Vale have been scared of winning that game, because if they won that game and Villa didn't, they'd have been in the Conference League, and they didn't want that. Like, they really weren't bothered. But yeah, and then we come on to the second goal, start second half. Leeds don't make changes, which makes no sense, but that isn't why the goal happens. Harry Kane does a very nice bit of play, flicks it over. I think it's Forshaw's head. He has two midfielders around him, neither of whom is on a yellow, neither of whom just grab hold of him and foul him for no reason. He drives away. Fortunately for Leeds, he plays an absolutely dreadful pass straight to Pascal Struijk, who then misses it.
Who plays a lovely cushioned pass.
Yeah, lovely flick on for Porro, who admittedly, it's a very good finish from a tight angle. But like again, just it's every single stereotype about a shit team. Leeds are all of them. Oh, they miss chances. Oh, they buckle under pressure. Oh, they make defensive mistakes. Oh, and they make mistakes at key times. They're just all the stereotypes. But yeah, that's 2-0. And at that point, there'd already been a lot of gallows humour, but it was getting really into just laughable stakes at this point. I mean, I think that the first chant for Marcelo Bielsa was straight after the first goal.
Very loud.
And it just carried on from there. We just... I wish I had something constructive to say, but I don't, because I can't even sit here and go, well, because I can make an argument that next season in the Championship will be fun. There's a lot of good young players in the squad. If you keep a few players around them, you should be able to make a good side out of it. Leeds should have once we lose a few players, which we're going to, they should have the financial power to bully teams in that league almost and sign, the best player off a few teams and make a good side. But when you don't know who's going to own the club and you don't know the director of football and you don't know the coaches, and we all thought that Radrizzani was buying Sampdoria today, but his bid's apparently been rejected as of a few hours ago. So fuck knows what's going to happen. The hour mark is when we finally get some changes where he thinks, oh yeah, I suppose Leeds do need to win this game, don't they? So you get Firpo for...
This is laughable, though.
Yeah, you get Firpo for Strauch, which I think probably was the right change, to be honest. It's just that it should have happened much earlier.
Again, if you're playing a system with no wingers, Junior Firpo probably should have started that game for me.
Well, one of the things that my dad... I was travelling to the game with my dad, and he said, oh, great, we're getting Firpo back in. And I went, yeah, I know he hasn't been great, but right now, think back to the last 10, 12 games. Who would you rather have at left back, him or Strauch? And he went, yeah, good point, Firpo. Like
he's also just much better going forward than Strauch, and that's not a knock on Strauch. That's just
Strauch actually had a couple of going forward. He actually did better than I would have expected him to. It's just not his game. The other changes were Aronson came on for Verber, so we did at that point actually go to a 4, and then Weston McKennie off for this lad. I've never seen him before. Because he must have come out of nowhere, because we definitely didn't have any forwards. But this Rotter or something. I don't know.
I just started laughing because...
Who immediately, by the way, did more in 2 minutes than 3/4 of the team.
Again, like, Allardyce was in for 4 games. He's very far down the list of people who were at fault for us getting relegated. But the same guy who looked at his subs bench when we had an injured striker and went, I don't have any strikers here, and thought I'd best leave Rodrigo on, then looked and went, well, get out there and save us.
Yeah. And also for this guy that he rated so little a week ago, that he would rather have an injured player than him, brings him on before Nonto?
I couldn't tell.
I just think that as much as he's so far down, and it's just so much stuff he said in these interviews and stuff. I didn't like him before we got him, and I like him a whole lot less now.
No, it smacks of Leeds' Neil Warnock in as much as, like, I can see why we've gone after this guy in this particular situation, but it's gone wrong, and he's given me no reason to believe he's actually any good at this.
Yeah.
Like I know his record says otherwise, but I'm telling you now, I'm looking at this going, I don't know how he's got it this wrong.
Yeah.
And again, he's on 125 grand a week for this run. I kind of want him to explain himself a bit.
Yeah, at least try.
He's the highest paid person at the club. He's probably getting more than Rodrigo.
That's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't occur to me that that's true. Right. So yeah, the subs happen. That's on the hour mark. Leeds do get a goal after 7 minutes from that. Ball played forward into Rutter, brings it, takes a touch, squares it to Harrison. Harrison squares up his defender. Good finish with his right foot. Jack Harrison, as usual, was very hit and miss, but the effort was always there. And you would assume that's the last time we see him in a Leeds shirt because he's one of the one. Like, there's a lot of them will have relegation clauses, and we're not sure, but he's the one that we know 100% from all the media reports. I think I read a thing that it was like West Ham and Villa were the favourites. No longer Newcastle, because Newcastle are going to sign Harvey Barnes as well as James Maddison, I'm guessing. And they signed Anthony Gordon as well.
Really makes you wonder why they signed Anthony Gordon.
Yeah.
No,
I think because they could.
Obviously, I'll be good when Jack Harrison goes because he is my boy, and his face when he went down injured.
Yeah.
And you just knew, like, he's got nothing left here. Like, if nothing else,
like, obviously, I didn't really see that because in the ground you couldn't. Yeah, but like, we have a message off Connor here that is very long, so I'll talk about relevant bits of this because he just said, I shed a tear when I saw Ayling and Harrison crying. He said Cooper, Ayling and Harrison were the three that looked visibly upset. I would have hoped more than that, to be honest.
Adam Forshaw would be on that list as well, but I did notice afterwards Weston McKennie seemed to stay very close to Luke Ayling. Yeah,
to try and use him as a shield.
That's the thing. It's interestingly, after the game, there was a guy on Radio Leeds who phoned up saying, "Well, I don't think these chants helped anyone in any way." And you just like, right, but at that point, it's not about trying to lift the players. It's the fact that we've gone through. It's a 38-game season, and we are now voicing our collective displeasure at a number of the players, and also the ownership.
And a lot of it wasn't to lift the players; it was to lift it was the fans trying to have some sort of fun. We have had so little fun in the last 2 years at Ellen Road.
I mean, Ellen Road was another goal away from chanting CM Punk.
Yeah.
Like, that's bless him. Like, I loved it. Some of them I missed. Like, apparently there was a chant for Samu Saiz who.
Yeah.
All right then. Obviously, I'm gutted I wasn't there for the -15 song. That is.
I think the one that I was that caught me off guard that I wasn't expecting was singing for Ronaldo Vieira, because I haven't heard that one in a long time, and it gave me a chance to say the thing that I always said: why is this his song? He gave the ball away loads. But Ali has also got saying he didn't get to see all of it, but the bits he missed, he was listening to, and he said Rutter sounded promising. As you saw, any chance of like ratings? I thought Rutter did pretty well when he came on. Probably like a 7. He was a bit Bambi on ice at times. That's one of the things with him. He looks ungainly. So when he gives it away, it looks. Whenever he gives it away, it looks like he's really bad because he's so ungainly and a bit all over the place. But when he gets it right, he looks really gifted. I mean, he won 2 tackles immediately. He won headers well. He chased hard. Like, he did. I mean, he did more than most of them did.
Yeah, and at that point, that's all you could. The game was gone when he came on. Like, it was a whether we're talking. I think by the time he'd come on, Leicester were already winning. Everton scored not long after that, so the game was up then. Like, it was long gone. But again, not to hark back to the Neil Warnock days, but you can't fault his effort. He is a great lad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're saying, he came on, in a pretty much a situation where the game was dead. I mean, that's most of the time he's come on.
Yeah. And he got himself an assist.
Yeah. Like,
it's really good for someone who.
I am really. depending on how much his wages are, and I am assuming he has the same relegation wage drops that everyone else does. If his wages are reasonable, I would like us to keep him around. Because I can't see who's going to buy him off the basis of this. It's just whether his wages are so high that we're looking to loan him out or something. But yeah, Harrison's goal was a bright spot. It was a nice finish. But yet again, literally 90 seconds later, concede another one. This one was the one where the ball was in the air. Liam Cooper has two men to his right to head the ball to, and he heads it left. Which just gives it straight to them, and then they have a 3-on-2. Like, once the bad header happens, they're always behind the 8 ball, and they have no chance, really. Harry Kane finishes well because he's Harry Kane. Harry Kane, who, by the way, getting 30 Premier League goals in that Tottenham side is unbelievable. This might be his best ever season. Because getting 30 goals in that team, it's like Ross McCormack getting them in the team that should have got relegated from the Championship. You were just like, wow, you've been amazing this season. And there are then, loads of shit things. But the one thing that I was in before we just go back to ranting, probably, the fourth goal from Lucas Moura. He picks that ball up on the touchline, on the halfway line. Liam Cooper misses his tackle. Koch, Ayling, Christensen don't even deign themselves to fucking try and make a tackle. And they let him run straight through the middle of the goal, and give him the easiest finish you can have. I know the game was dead by then. I know it don't fucking matter. But just fucking try, will you?
Just kick him.
Kick him. Robin Koch is chasing back, and he gets close to him. Just fucking kick him. You don't have to hurt him. Just clip his ankle out. Professional foul. Yellow card.
He's literally got a teammate in front of him, so he knows he's not going to get sent off. He's almost staring at whoever it is there.
But Liam Cooper, he got booked for one in the first half where he just grabbed someone and ragged them to the floor. Unfortunately, it didn't even stop the attack. Strauch's one that he got booked for, at least that did stop the counter-attack that they were on.
Yeah, and it's been spoken about a lot this season that this Leeds team don't even do that sort of thing. Like the niggly little bits of just breaking up play and like we waste time, but we don't stop play. Like we don't stop playing clever moments or anything like that. There's just that some of the defeats we've come away from where we've only got one yellow card and things like that. And he's just like, and there you're looking going, again, whether they win this game 3 or 4-1 is immaterial at this point.
Yeah.
But like the thing I'll say for Liam Cooper's challenge is, I think if he connects it, he might have broken his femur. Like it was like thigh high. It wasn't studs up, but he seemed to be trying. Like he was trying to take out his leg.
He knew it. I think he goes.
It was a very frustrating.
Realizes he's not gonna, and just carries on.
Yeah, it's a very frustrating.
But I'd rather that than what we saw from the other three.
And once he makes that touch, takes that touch inside, and he sees all that space, Lucas Moura is just there going, "I'll just keep going then."
Yeah, it was almost like they were guiding him towards goal. It was, and that moment was. There had been lots of funny chants, Leeds singing. Spurs fans sing, "You're going down." Leeds fans respond with, "We're going down." Spurs fans sing, "You're fucking shit." Leeds fans respond with, "We're fucking shit." A lot of just that. And I think probably the best one, I don't know if it came from on TV, but the Que Sera Sera that went round.
Oh, I can't say I heard that one.
It was a Que Sera Sera, whatever will be, we're going to Coventry, Que Sera Sera. I think there might have also been a version with Hull City at one point as well. Fourth goal was when it turned genuinely fucking poisonous. That was a loud rendition. There had already been a "You're not fit to wear the shirt" at 2. But it was not with as much vitriol, and it was maybe a third to half the ground. The one at 4 was every man, woman, child, and everything in between. Vitriol. And like you saw players pulling the shirt over the face and stuff. And I think a lot of it was because a lot of them sort of knew that the fans were right. You can't put in a performance. I've said it on previous podcasts to this, and I mean it. If you're going to go down swinging. And these last 9 games, we have done the complete opposite. We have rolled over and had his belly tickled. Whatever version you want to say, that's what we did. And it's just not good. You can't do shit like that and expect anyone to give you any credit. I mean, I was sat right next to, I am assuming, Brendan Aronson's family, because there were 5 of them with Aronson on the back of a shirt, and they were definitely American. And the main couple were roughly 25 to 30 years older than Brendan Aronson. And as I was walking down the stairs and I was next to the bloke, I went, I'm assuming you're Brendan Aronson's family. And the bloke looked at me and went, and that was it. I didn't say, oh, he's fucking shit, you're blah, blah, blah. No, I said, I'm assuming you're Brendan Aronson's family. And they didn't even have the guts to own up to it. I wasn't even going to say anything mean. I just was going to go, oh, cool. And that... they did then own up to it when he came on, and all of them gave him a standing ovation onto the pitch when no one else did. So they weren't hiding it.
With him,
but it was weird. I was just like, wow, they must really have heard how angry everyone is to not even be willing to admit that they're a player's family.
Read the room.
Yeah, they read the room.
I sort of felt sorry for him in the sense that, why is he coming on? Why is he the choice?
He didn't do outright, but he won the ball back a couple of times. He didn't particularly do out wrong either. He was just there.
I've never faulted his effort. I've never thought he's not trying. I just thought he was soft. He is physically too weak for this league.
Yeah.
There's no way around it, and I think that might be one of the most cutting things you can say about a player. But look, I've watched him, and one, I don't think there's been any awareness of how you look when you stay down from one of these non-injuries you've got.
Yeah.
And two, and look, he knows how to press, and I appreciate that about him. But he has no strength to defend the ball when he's got it.
And his quality on the ball is... It's weird. He's quite skillful, but his actual technical quality on the ball... I've said it with a few of our players. Just, the ability to kick the ball it's not at a Premier League standard at all.
Where is it?
Look at some of his shots. Even the decent ones are weak and just...
I got very annoyed. I don't know if you can go as far as calling it a chance, to be honest, but it fell to him about 3 yards from goal, and he somehow didn't get a shot in. And I don't think he'd have scored, because he was near the byline, and he was about 3 yards from goal. So there's no angle, but get the shot in.
Ali, he's a poor man's Dan James. Now, I think he is more skillful than Dan James. But Dan James's just pace is probably more effective at beating a man than Brendan Aronson's skill. I think Aronson's a better presser than James. James is a better finisher. James is probably better in the air.
Something.
James is definitely stronger and shows more commitment in tackles and stuff. Neither one of them is good enough, but... Potato. I don't think either one of them would have made a difference. But to be honest, if we'd have played Dan James all season, I don't think there'd have been any discernible difference.
I think we might have got a couple of extra goals.
Yeah, and like James is a good presser as well. I think James presses harder. Aronson knows what he's doing with pressing more.
Yeah.
It's probably fair. But you know, that, as I say, I don't think that's unfair what he said there. They're slightly different positions, but it's similar problems. Also, there was a story going around that Aronson is one of the ones with a release clause. So he may, depending on the amount in it, he may well go. But if that amount is 20 million plus, I don't see us buying him.
No, I don't.
Someone in Germany maybe, but it'll be less than that for the money. And the thing is, and I'm saying this and I mean it, I actually think the best thing for him as a footballer would be a year in Championship. A summer with whatever physical fitness trainer Jack Harrison had. A summer with them and then a year in Championship. I think, because he'll have that little bit more time on the ball. And I think that could be the making of him. Sorry, I shouldn't say the making of him. He's already a very successful man he's already made it. But it could really kick him on. And I think that'd probably do him more good than going somewhere else and being a squad player.
Yeah, like you say, he needs to put a stone and a half, 2 stone on, doesn't he?
He needs. He just gets knocked about too much.
He needs to pound the weight gain and shout beefcake.
Yeah, beefcake. So, just looking at this, there's a few going around. The main thing is that as much as we've had to go at Allardyce here and had to go at a lot of the players, it is Victor Orta mainly, but Radrizzani is responsible for Victor Orta.
Yeah.
I still, to this day, think if they sack Jesse Marsh before the World Cup, we probably get out of this.
You think we get a decent manager in?
You know, all those coaches that didn't want to join in February, some of them would have been willing to join before the World Cup because they'd have had a World Cup. They'd had 4 weeks to train the players that aren't at the World Cup and get their ideas across. And then they would have had a transfer window to bring in a couple of players that they think they need. It's so much more of an attractive job at that point. And we just don't do it. And Radrizzani coming out and saying, well, I wanted to sack... You know, there was a lot of talk that he wanted to sack him then, but Orta was the one sticking by him. Well, I don't care. Have the bollocks to do it or shut up. Stop saying, oh, it's because Orta this. No, at the end of the day, that's his decision. And
you're the boss.
Yeah. He's fucked it.
Yeah, there's... I probably more than most wanted it to work with Marsh after the World Cup, but the absolute curse of beating Liverpool, as it now probably turns out, is strangely what's probably put us in the worst trouble. Because the fact we went such a big gap in between beating Chelsea and then beating Liverpool without a win in between, and then after beating Bournemouth, we went on another long run. We didn't win any of the 9 games straight after the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, we just went on these awful runs of just not picking up points. We went from, and I understand there is a World Cup in here, so there is some, you know, a bit more in there, but we won a game on the 5th of November. The next one we won in the league was the 25th of February.
Yeah. And yeah, so there's 4 weeks of not playing in there, but that's still so long.
Yeah.
And in the league, we've won 3 games in 2023.
Yeah.
You can't do shit like that. You just can't. I believe it was LUFC Day to put it out, but I think, have we won 7 this year?
Yes.
This season, which I believe is our lowest ever. Like, we just deserve every bit of it. You know, The fans might not, but that's not what wins games, unfortunately.
After we beat Forest, which was our last win of the season, there was only one game where we scored more than one.
Yeah.
That was
and that is our stronger suit of the two.
Yeah. And that was in a 2-2 draw.
Yeah. I still think that the most telling stat in terms of, we've said it all season, the lack of composure and just the lack of having, a lot of the times, just having something between the ears as a squad. I think we've dropped 25 points from winning positions this season.
Yeah, if I remember rightly, LUC data said since we got promoted, we've dropped 44 points from winning positions since in the 3 years.
Yeah, and I know it was at a different level. I know it's a completely different level of football. But in the Championship, we had that run where every time we went 1-0 up, we basically won for a year and a half. You went 1-0 up and you were good. We drew 4 of them and we won the rest. And now, going 1-0 up just means, I wonder how long this is going to be. If we just go back through the recent ones. I mean, we went 1-0 up at West Ham. And we didn't hold on to that for very long. We went 1-0 up against Newcastle and then missed a penalty to make it 2. And they then equalised almost immediately. Probably looking back, the most annoying game for me this season. We went 1-0 up against a shite Leicester side and then sat back for 70 minutes. Basically until they scored. Fulham, we were just shit. Liverpool, we were just shit. 1-0 up against Palace. I mean, at the point that we 1-0 up against Palace just before half time, we were 12th. Throw that game away and fall to pieces. We just did it far, far too much all the way through the season, just throwing things away and throwing things away and throwing things away. Even as much as they're much better than us, we were 2-0 up at Scum. When you're 2-0 up, you shouldn't not win a game.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Man City and they're just that good.
Sorry, I've got the so do you want our record from the last 2 seasons?
Yeah, I mean, what will we? What is this just as overall win, draw, loss from 76 games?
Yep.
7. Have we won 16 games?
Yep.
Now draws, I don't know. I'm going to take a shot at 20.
Ooh, 21. So lost 39, scored 90, conceded 157. A win rate of 21%, 44 points dropped from winning positions.
44 points dropped from winning positions in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
That is fucking shameful. No, you can't do that. I know that we always joke about how we shoot ourselves in the foot, but there it is. You can't do shit like that.
No, I talked about previously about Southampton and how they'd had those 2, those games where they got absolutely hammered.
You do that 15% better than we stay up.
We had 6 different games where we conceded 5 or more goals. 14 when we conceded 4 or more, and 24 games where we conceded 3 or more.
Yeah, just can't fucking defend.
No, and what was done in those 2 years? What was done to remedy that? Because Firpo was brought in before all that happened. So the remedies to that were Rasmus Christensen came in and Max Verber came in January.
Yeah. The Firpo one, it's not signing Firpo that annoys me. Because I've always said I only judge them with what they are at the time. And at the time, in theory, Firpo for Alioski was an upgrade. In theory. It hasn't worked out that way. But at the time, I understood it. The thing that annoys me is there have then been 3 more transfer windows since then, where we knew, Firpo isn't actually any good. And we haven't done anything about it in those 3.
No.
That's the bit that annoys me more. Because I can understand you making a transfer and it not working out. It's then just the complete lack of trying to remedy it that makes it worse. We have a few questions in the chat. Some have been repeated elsewhere, but Richard Hutchinson has put it on a big thing. So I will go through them because we're already at the 50-minute mark and we'll see where we are. The first one is, who is to blame for Leeds United's downfall? If you had to pick a man.
I'm going to go Victor Orta, just edging it out, because
I would agree.
I understand that Radrizzani has to greenlight all these signings because it's his money, but ultimately he's the man put in charge of recruitment, and his recruitment for 2 years has been absolutely dreadful.
There's one that I'll leave for a bit because it's like, who's going to leave, who might come in, stuff like that. We probably will have a look through the squad and think who might hang out. It does ask, will Leeds bounce back into the Premier League next season? I honestly, with the amount we know about who's going to be in charge, I think it's impossible to answer that question at this point.
No, when you're it's very much a 1998 WWF. Will they answer the questions, or will the answers themselves become questions? We are looking at this going, I don't know who's going to own us. I don't know who's going to manage us. I don't know who's going to be head of recruitment. I don't know who's going to be staying.
Right now, if you're asking me for a gut answer, I'd say no. But that might just be because I'm in a negative headspace about it and stuff now. We'll see. But the next question is the one that, and it's not so much giving me a name, but he said, who's going to be the next manager? Now, the truth is, I don't know who it's going to be. But for the love of fuck, can we get someone who wants to coach Leeds United in possession and who knows what to do when we have the ball? Because we have had Bielsa's gone, and then for 15 months, they have not at all even looked at what happens when Leeds United have the ball. And that is why the passing's become so shit. Because it's just not been thought about.
Yeah.
So that needs to be remedied, number one.
I mean, I genuinely look at, and I will take this as far back as Simon Grayson leaving. How many times have you looked at a Leeds United appointment? So we're now talking about under 3 different ownerships, where you think, we've gone. We've got someone who is a good fit right now. And honestly, in terms of, at the time, I thought Warnock was a good appointment because he knew how to get teams out of the Championship. All right, it didn't work out. Although
as much as I didn't like him, if you look at Warnock's record, him being shit at Leeds is the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah. I thought Brian McDermott was a good appointment as someone else who'd taken a team out of the Championship. And again, I think he was unfortunate with a lot of what was going on at the time. And then it's Bielsa. Like, after that, there's
lots of bad. I mean, if we only
I suppose it's a bit harsh on Gary Monk. I know we don't like him, but
yeah, but like, I suppose
even his record wasn't.
Even though Monk did well, it's only really worth looking at the ones under this ownership. And under this ownership, it starts with Christensen.
Look, I'm not even going to say the names. I'm going to describe the situations they came from. One of them had been busy winning the Cypriot League. The next was busy getting relegated with Barnsley.
Yeah. Had won 1 in 17 to get the job.
Yeah. One of them was revered as one of the greatest coaches of modern football.
Yeah, before we even got here, it wasn't a secret. There's books written about him. There's chapters in Inverting the Pyramid and things like that.
Then it was a lad who had recently failed with Red Bulls and had only been successful prior to that because he had been managing a team with Erling Haaland in it.
Yeah, in a weak league.
Then it was a futsal coach.
Yeah.
That was, the next one had been fine with Watford, but was in Qatar prior to us.
He had been out in one of them. Yeah. One of the Middle Eastern leagues.
And then Big Sam, who, unless I've forgotten something, had been out of the game for nearly 2 years and had last been seen managing West Brom to relegation.
Mm.
Like it's so mind-blowing that having had the discussion going, why don't we just go out and get the best person that we can? That they didn't continue that going forward of just thinking, no, who, and not just who is someone up and coming that we can get in, like, no, who is the best we can get now?
Yeah. Because I believe that the story was with getting Bielsa, that was the question that Rajazani asked Orta, wasn't it? Yeah. If you could have anyone, who would it be? And he said Marcelo Bielsa. So, and then they tried to get him. And surprisingly, he actually was up for it and it worked. But it doesn't seem like, although it does seem like Jesse Marsh was exactly what we wanted, because he don't know his ass from his fucking elbow. Like, they've fucked it. It's that simple.
Well, if
they thought Jesse Marsh was a good fit to take over from Marcelo Bielsa in terms of the style of football on the pitch, then they don't know a single thing about football.
Yeah, like
it is that simple.
I think at this point, in my head, I'd love them to throw money at Rodgers or Potter and say, well, I know you will. I know you can do better than this, but come here, start something here.
Yeah. Ali has asked, would you want any of our former coaches back now?
Marcelo Bielsa, please.
Bielsa in theory, but no, it wouldn't actually happen. No.
No, like
I'd like Redfern to be involved in some way. Like, not necessarily even with the first team. I would just like him to be at Leeds.
Oh, I'd love him to be head of youth development or something like that. Or, in charge, lead of the women's program or something like that, because he has that experience in both of them.
In the list, Ali does have McAllister, and I'll say it again because I've said it every single time. Don't rule out him being assistant manager next year.
Yeah.
Don't rule out Steven Gerrard getting this job.
And again, that would it'd be so annoying because that is hiring the name.
Yeah.
And I think on the square ball, going back a fair few years at this point, Leeds have very rarely done well hiring big names. But again, it all comes down to when this takeover gets done, who's in control. But it's got to be someone who. It's got to be someone who, it doesn't necessarily have to be proven in the Championship or anything like that, but just has to have a good track record of doing well with teams and playing attacking football.
Now, I will say the names in there. Obviously, he stayed on too long at Leicester, but Brendan Rodgers is a name. He wouldn't be my first choice, but I could see that being a decent idea. Andoni Iraola is leaving, and all the stories are he's going to England. And there is stories in Spain saying that despite relegation, it might still be Leeds. I mean, I'd be up for that. But the one, if I was picking, is Graham Potter.
There's so just looking at a few of the options on here on Odds Checker.
I was going to say, is there a next Leeds manager market out anyway yet? Because there should be by now.
Yeah, there's quite a few places. Just to pull a few of the names off here. So obviously Big Sam is probably the favourite, which would be
it will be now, but I'm placing this on the record right now, and you can laugh at me later. That will not happen.
Yeah.
100%. Big Sam will not be manager of Leeds next season. And if he is, I will keep. If he is, I will still have my season ticket and I'll still go. But there might be some Tuesday night games where I just say, fuck it, I'm not going. Even though I have a ticket.
Lee Bowyer, second to favourite in a couple of markets.
That wouldn't be a massive shock because he was linked to it last time. Although the one that really liked him by all accounts was Orta.
Patrick Vieira.
I don't want Vieira. I don't think he coaches well in possession.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of like that. So apparently, one of the things that contributed to him getting sacked was that he was sort of sounding out the Leeds job while he was at Palace.
Yeah. Carl Robinson is on there.
Yeah, no, I can't see that.
There's Stevie G. A couple of markets.
I'll tell you what I can say from looking at this list. This list is they have no idea.
Yeah, the fact that we've got Paulo Fonseca on there as well, which I quite like. Yeah, it's a bit all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea, but that is my. I think that we can. I think that we can get Potter.
Nathan Jones?
No. God, he must be pissed off. Left Luton.
I love some of the names on there.
The reason why I think we can get Potter will get a Premier League job. But it'll probably be when someone gets sacked. The first one to get sacked. Unless there is something hidden in the books that no one knows about, we are at least going down in a financially fairly sound position. Especially once we've sold 5-6 players, that is going to happen. What's the one thing that worked? Going, well, we're just going to go out and get this really expensive manager who knows what he's doing. I don't care if Bielsa was on what? Bielsa and his team was like 6-7 million a year. I don't care if Potter and his team want fucking 9. If you can get him. Because he will actually, he improves players. And we haven't had someone that improves players since Bielsa went. And that is, if you have a coach that improves players, that is worth so much more than anything else. If you can get a load of players who are worth 10 million and turn them into 25, you will have a better team.
I mean, I'd love to see what Potter could do with, obviously we would need to make some signings, but what he could do with players like JB, Bate, Sonny Perkins, Mateo Joseph, players like that.
I'll tell you what, based on the sort of strikers he played at Brighton, it's Bamford, works hard, misses a lot of chances. But Joseph would suit him, in theory. I think he plays free at the back, which I think is the long-term future for Strauch. Left centre-back in the free.
Yeah.
Charlie Cresswell, strong, good in the air, but decent with the ball at his feet as well. Look, I'm not saying they're the same level, but that sounds quite Lewis Dunkey. You know, I just think that we have players that can. I mean, Veltman is better than him, but Veltman and Ayling have some similarities. Like there's players that I think he could make work in that formation, and if he's available, I mean, he is available. He will want a Premier League job, but I think you can talk him into this, and that's what I want. But no, it's going to happen until we have a director of football, and we're not getting one of them until they figure out who's going to own the fucking club. And the problem is, in the fucking 5 weeks they'll spend arguing about all this shit.
Yeah.
Other teams will be making moves. Other teams will be getting sorted. Other teams will be figuring out who's going to be in charge and what players they can get. And you're going to hear, in 2 weeks, they've signed him in the Championship. That's a late signing. And we weren't there because we were busy talking about other shit.
I'm going to say, just go get someone good. I'm sick of sick of projects and upcoming young managers. Just go get the best person for the job.
And I mean, there may well. My knowledge of the entire European manager market isn't good enough to say. There may well be better options for them out there. People really do rave about Iraola. And it's people whose opinions I trust, so if they get him, I'll be happy. I've only watched a few of their games, though, so I don't really... I watched a couple when we were being properly linked to him, and they looked pretty good, but... Like, there's... Other than Potter, when I look at this list... Potter, then probably Rodgers, Iraola. Like, Postecoglou's on the list, but he's apparently turning down Spurs, so he can come it was. Knutson, I've always liked that Bodo Glimt side, what I've seen of them. They're walking the league again. But I don't see him coming to the Championship. And then pretty much everyone else on the list are just people that... There's a load of them that just don't... They're out of possession coaches rather than in possession coaches. And don't want that. I want us to... I'm sick of watching shit football and I want us to be able to pass the ball again.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Just, like you say, we just need to get it sorted. We just need to get... And it needs to be in the next week.
Yeah,
they need to start making moves.
When they released that statement that they didn't even dare put someone's fucking name on after the game, I was hoping that statement was going to be like, look, yeah, we're sorry this has all gone wrong, but look, we have agreed a deal with X, whether it's for 49ers or not. That's what's happening next year. Or if he isn't selling, I'm not selling, I'm going to get us back. Whatever it is, I want it to be quick. But it's going to get dragged out for weeks and weeks and weeks, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I think we all enjoyed the summer of Bates and GFH.
Yeah.
And look how well that season went. So I pray to God it's not another one of those.
Yeah. I'm also hoping that in the next couple of days we finally find out what the fuck happened at half-time against Palace, because Summit did.
It was quite interesting, actually, because I know Phil Hay was asked about that on the last episode of the Phil Hay show, and kind of he said that he's not heard anything about that, but
there just must have been something. There must have been
something has happened somewhere in that time, that because as much as the football was uninspiring, we looked fine under Gracia until that goal went in, and it all fell apart.
Because if you remember, when we got Gracia, as much as neither of us were inspired by the idea, but once we'd been turned down by like 6-7 coaches and we were down the list, we got to the stage of, oh no, that sort of makes sense. I'm all right with that. And I was all right with that. But it really was like, he was okay, not great. In press conferences, one of the least inspiring men I've ever seen in my life. But it was sort of okay until that half-time. Well, I mean, we conceded a bad goal just before half-time, but we've been doing that all season. That shouldn't have broken.
No, he'd won half his games. He was one off in 6 games. He'd won 3. He was
admittedly against bad teams, but still, don't matter.
He was doing better against bad teams than Jesse Marsh did.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if you saw on Match of the Day that
I didn't watch Match of the Day. I'll be honest. What I did was I was originally going to watch Match of the Day and stuff. I still can't believe Southampton and Liverpool drew 4-4. All of that. But what I did was I went to the pub for 2 pints with my dad, and that swiftly became 6.
Yeah.
That's what happened instead.
They showed a head-to-head table of the bottom 6 teams, I believe, and we had the worst record against the other bottom 6.
The head-to-head record of the bottom 6, we were the worst.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
Southampton.
I'm not surprised at that, but I didn't know that.
Like, Southampton were better than us against shit teams.
Yeah, you can't do that. And that was the difference last season. as much as we weren't good, and even the games we won under Marsh were bad and stuff, like we did beat Norwich twice.
Yeah.
Like stuff like, and we just haven't done that enough this season. We did beat Wolves twice, which was weird, but they ended up out of that, didn't they?
Yeah, they finished comfortably 13th.
But yeah, like we got 4 points out off Southampton. Southampton are really bad, but that should have been 6. And it was directly Jesse Marsh's fault that we didn't. That was the refusal to make subs on the hottest day for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Who else did Leicester. Did we get 1 point off Leicester? Lost away and drew 1-1.
Yeah.
Lost away, drew 1-1 at home. Again, a managerial fault this time. Graffia 1-0 up against a shit team, sat back for 70 minutes and let him back in the game. And let's be honest, Leicester could have won that.
Everton, we only got 1 point against.
Everton, 1 point at home. If I remember rightly, we probably deserved more. But we were 1-0 down. And Sinistero equalised. And in the away game, that was a fucking shameful performance. And again, another one directly on a mistake. Melier standing 6 yards off his line for no reason.
Yeah.
Who else has ended up in the bottom 6 when I think of those games?
West Ham, who we obviously lost to last week.
Did we draw 2-2 at home?
Yes, we drew 2-2 at home when they had gone 5 without a win. And then we scored twice.
We went 1-0 up in that. Another one dropped from losing position, 1-0 up through Nanto. Skamaka scored a goal where I think it was Mark Locker, did a layoff straight to Skamaka, who just scored immediately.
Yeah.
It was one of the midfielders. I know that more goals come from mistakes than don't come from mistakes. But when you think through the goals we've conceded this season, there's so few where you go, that was a good goal, that. There's almost none of them. It's just like all of them are directly a Leeds player fucking up.
And a man free at the back post.
And often a man free at the back post, yeah. But, well. As much as we're pissed off now, and we'll continue to be pissed off, when we have some news and we're getting to like 4 weeks before next season, I'll start getting excited again.
How did you feel this
Depending on who the manager is. Like if it's Sam Allardyce, I won't.
Yeah. Because I had the awful thing this morning. If I woke up and was just kind of flicking through my phone for 20 minutes, and then I just went, oh shit, we got relegated yesterday. Like I'd sort of forgotten it, and then I'll tell you what it is. A Tifo video popped up on YouTube, and I just went, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah, I have luckily had my daughter to distract me most of today, but it does still just keep coming into my head. Oh yeah, that's it. You're down, and I'm sorry. Again, the lack of fight. 31 points is fucking pathetic.
Yeah.
That's so few points. They say you need, 40 points to stay up. Bournemouth got 39 and they were 15th.
Yeah.
You didn't even need to be good to stay up this season. You barely needed to be competent.
You just had to be there.
Yeah.
Last season we got 38 and that kept us up by 3 points because our goal difference would have seen us down. Yeah. But again, something else that they spoke about is that Everton and Leicester both had to win their games, and they did. That's
I saw it. By the way, I saw it coming a mile off. I had a treble of Everton, Leicester, and Spurs because I knew what was going to fucking happen.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the
Ali just saying the goals conceded numbers are horrific, and they are 78 goals conceded.
We'll say 2 seasons ago, our first season in the Premier League would have stayed up. We would have stayed up fairly comfortably because Fulham went down on 28. Yeah. But yeah, we got 2 points from our last 9 games.
Last 9 we drew with Newcastle and Leicester. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
lost every other game.
You can't do that.
No, you can't do that. It's pathetic. But the thing is, they'll know. I am just hoping, because I have no idea when our next pod's going to be. It depends when news happens. There might be one in a week if we know something about the ownership or we have an idea who the coach is going to be or something like that. If they don't sort out for 3 weeks, we probably won't have a pod for 3 weeks. Because there's no point. We'll just be saying how shit we were again, which has been which admittedly has been half the season. But yeah, I've no idea. I'm just hoping for some news soon, something to give me anything to look forward to would be really nice. At least we now know who the 24th team will be, because Chef Wednesday just cost loads of people loads of money. Because there's been loads of people on Twitter. It was like a running thing, the treble of all 3 playoff finals to be decided on penalties. And then the first 2 were, and Chef Wednesday just won it in the 123rd minute against Barnsley.
Josh Windass.
Yeah. So I guess our record at Hillsborough is better than our record at Oakwell, so that's probably okay. But yeah, that will do us for episode 219. We will be
crying.
We'll be sat here upset behind the scenes for a while, and we'll see what happens. But there is one good thing. We'll be back on the Not the Top 20 podcast, which is an excellent podcast. Yeah. So, we will see you all when there's something relevant to talk about. I will, in the meantime, look into seeing what else is out there, because StreamYard are getting very expensive. So, I've been Jack. See you.
I've been Casey. Have a good one.
In a bit.